All right. A good 90% of you out there probably, you don't have the first clue what Aikido is about because your understanding of what Aikido is fundamentally flawed. You see, if you don't have a solid foundation, everything that you build on top of that is going to be all cattywampus, okay? So, I've said this many times and I'm going to keep saying it until it sinks in. Aikido is not a set of techniques. It is a set of principles that are taught through a physical medium. Okay, and what I mean by that is when you learn, let's take just the basic things like Ikkyo, Nikkyo, Sankyo, Yankyo, okay? Those are not called first technique, second technique. They're called first teaching, second teaching on purpose. Because you're not simply learning a singular technique of how to do a certain thing to somebody's arm, okay? What you're learning are the principles of control, leverage, and joint manipulation. You see, you have a floating joint, a hinge joint, and a ball and socket joint in your arm. Every joint in your body kind of mimics that in one way or another. When you learn how to control the wrist, the arm, the shoulder, you're also learning how to control the ankle, the knee, the leg, because they're the same kind of joints. So you're picking up the principles of control and leverage. You're also learning, as you're practicing these techniques in different ways, these techniques, these principles, these teachings, right? As you're doing these in different variations, you're also learning how to move your body, how to sense the other person's movement and work around that. That's the Aiki principle, the joining energy, the harmonizing. You know, it's not this spiritual frou-frou thing that everybody thinks it is. It's literally sensing the other body. That's why we grapple. That's why we like to make contact. Once you've clinched up with an Aikidoka, if they've learned something, if they really know what they're doing, that's it. Okay? Because Aikido it's a one and done kind of thing. It's not meant for sport. It's not meant for submissions. It's meant to drop somebody, to break them, to get them off of you and get out of there. That's how self-defense works, okay? And that's not to say that it can't work in sport, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's talk about a couple more of these principles, though, okay? There's Kokyo-ho, our breath exercise. Log trucks, sorry. I hate these things. So, in the breathing technique, in the breathing exercise, we're learning how breath can augment our power output, okay? You think about a boxer practicing throwing punches, okay? All right? That's engaging your core and breathing out. That augments your power output. That's just their version of Kokyo-ho. Okay? It's a principle that's found in every martial art. And that's something that I also want people to understand. There's this prevalent myth that it takes a lifetime to learn Aikido, to master Aikido, okay? Well, maybe if you're trying to get into all that esoteric spiritual stuff, you know, yeah, it's a lifetime thing. It's something that you should have a passion for and keep doing. And it has health benefits and all kinds of stuff, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about practical Aikido here, right? Okay, and to learn practical Aikido, to learn something that you can actually go out there and use, well, you can get that in 6 to 12 months probably. 4 years max if you're only going to class for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2 or 3 times a week. All right? But practical Aikido starts with understanding that you're learning principles, not techniques. It's not one specific way of doing anything. And when you start to take it out of the box like that, it becomes alive and dynamic. You start to find different ways to apply these principles. And you stop getting stuck in trying to follow a certain set of movements, follow a certain kata, okay? If you just did kata like in karate all your life, you're not going to know how to fight very well. If you have to follow a certain strict set of movements to get from point A to point B, you're not going to be able to fight. And when you're practicing Aikido, when you're doing especially the beginner level stuff, you're just doing two-person kata. You have to take it out of the box. You have to eventually, at some point, spar or fight or do something and start to bring it alive and start to look at it in a more dynamic manner. But if you learn from the very beginning, if your foundations are nothing but trying to do specific techniques, trying to follow A, B, and C, step-by-step kata, you're never going to be able to take it out of the box and use it. So why haven't we seen practical Aikido in MMA? You have. You see it all the time. Don't believe me? Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, and Judo all share common roots. That means we have common principles. That means we have common techniques. The same throws that we use in Aikido are the throws that you see in Judo. Okay? And we know Judo works. It's an Olympic sport. The joint manipulations and striking techniques, yes, we do have striking techniques. They're the same stuff from old school Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is just a modified Jiu-Jitsu. You see, they've taken all of the good stuff and they've started using it. And it works because it's a specific kind of sport, okay? It's designed to work in a certain way, and so the things that work in it are the things that work with those rules, all right? But you're still seeing Aikido, you're seeing the same kind of techniques, the same kind of principles, the same, hijishimi, I told you, it's just an arm bar. You see arm bars all the time. We know arm bars work. We call it hijishimi. You call it something else, it's still an arm bar. It's still the same principles that we utilize in Aikido, but applied to something else. And because you say, oh, well, that comes from this and that comes from that, that doesn't mean that it doesn't also come from Aikido. Well, but this person trained in this, that, and the other. And so it's the same technique. It's the same principles that are being applied. So again, if you take it out of the box, if you stop confining yourself to specific techniques and understand that Aikido is a broad, alive, dynamic thing, you'll find that it actually does work.